Hello friends, welcome to my channel Study Anatomy. In this video, we will discuss about what is scalp. So, what is scalp? Scalp, it is the skin covering the head region, excluding the face. So, scalp क्या होता है? जो स्किन हमारे हेड रीजन को कवर करती है उसे हम स्कैल्प कहते हैं. Only the head region, not the face. So, the exact definition of scalp is the soft tissues covering the cranial vault forms the scalp. So, we have understood that what is scalp. Now, we will understand that what is the extent of scalp. At how much the scalp it goes anteriorly and posteriorly, laterally. So in this diagram you can see there is a skull and there is the markings of the skull which is shown in the diagram. So let's discuss what is the extent of the scalp. So first we will discuss that the anteriorly how much portion is covered by the scalp. So anteriorly the supraorbital margin, it marks the end of the scalp. So what is supraorbital margins? So as we see the interior aspect of the skull, the two orbits are present. These orbits contains the eyes. These are the sockets for the eyes. So the orbit has the two margins, that is the supraorbital margins and the infraorbital margins. So infra means it is present below the orbits and supra means it is present above the orbit region. So the supraorbital margin, it marks the end of the scalp anteriorly. So now we will discuss the posteriorly, that how much scalp it is extended posteriorly. So posteriorly, the external occipital protuberance and the superior nuchal lines marks the end of the scalp posteriorly. So as you can see in this diagram, this is the posterior aspect of the skull and you can see there is a presence of the external occipital protuberance. So this external occipital protuberance and there are the superior nuchal lines and the inferior nuchal lines. So the external occipital protuberance as well as the superior nuchal lines, these both marks the end of the scalp posteriorly. So now we will see that how much scalp it is extended on each side on the lateral portion of the skull. So on each side it is extended till the superior temporal lines. As you can see in this diagram, there is a temporal bone which contains the superior temporal lines. So till the superior temporal lines, this extent of the scalp, it is extended. So now we will see the structure of the scalp. So the scalp which is covering the cranial vault. So what is the structure of that scalp? So scalp it is made up of 5 layers. So जो scalp होता है वो 5 layers से मिलके बना होता है. So these layers are the skin, the superficial fascia, epicranial aponeurosis, loose connective tissue and the pericranium. So we will discuss each layer one by one. So the first layer which we will discuss is the skin. So we will discuss what are the features of that skin. The skin, it is thick and hairy and it is adherent to the epicranial aponeurosis through the dense superficial fascia. So what is skin layer of scalp? So जो हमारी स्किन लेयर होती है स्कैल्प की वो थिक होती है और वो हेयरी होती है, हेयर्स प्रेजेंट होते हैं उस पर और वो डायरेक्ट कॉन्टैक्ट में होती है थर्ड लेयर के साथ जिसको कहते हैं हम एपिक्रेनियल एपोन्यूरोसिस. सो जो स्किन की डायरेक्ट कॉन्टैक्ट होती है द थर्ड लेयर के साथ एपिक्रेनियल एपोन्यूरोसिस, इट इज़ थ्रू द सुपरफेशियल फेशिया. ये सुपरफिशियल फेशिया की वजह से होती है. So the next layer is the superficial fascia. सो जो सुपरफिशियल फेशियल लेयर होती है, इट कंटेन्स द ब्लड वेसल्स. The superficial fascia or the subcutaneous layer, it is more fibrous and dense in the center than at the periphery of the head. So this layer, it is denser at the center than the periphery of the head, that is towards the skin. It is less denser. So this layer, it binds to the skin to the subjacent aponeurosis. The word subjacent aponeurosis means, firstly the word subjacent means that is lying immediately under or below. So this layer, it binds to the skin to the subjacent aponeurosis. And this layer, it provides the proper medium for the passage of the vessels and the nerves to the skin. So this layer contains the blood vessels and the nerves, and it also supplies to the upper layer, that is the skin. So the occipitofrontalis muscle, it has two bellies, that is the occipital or the occipitalis and the frontal or the frontalis. So what is occipitofrontalis muscle? As you can see in this diagram, there is a frontal belly of the occipitofrontalis. These are the facial muscles. So the frontal bone, that is the head region, the frontal bone, it consists of the frontalis muscle, and the posterior occipital bone, it consists of the occipitalis muscle. So these both muscles, that is the occipitalis muscle and the frontalis muscle, these both muscles, these are in contact with each other, and these both muscles are combinedly called as the occipitofrontalis muscle. So this occipitofrontalis muscle, it has two bellies, that is the first is the occipital belly, that is the occipitalis, that is the posterior part of the skull, and the frontal or the frontalis belly. These both muscles, that is the frontalis as well as the occipital muscle, these both are inserted into the epicranial aponeurosis. So the third layer which we have to discuss is the epicranial aponeurosis. So these both muscles are inserted into the epicranial aponeurosis layer. So the occipital bellies, these are small and these are separate, and these each arises from the lateral 2/3 portion of the superior nuchal lines. तो जो posteriorly occipital bone में superior nuchal lines होती हैं, उसके जो lateral 2/3 portion है, वहाँ से ये occipital belly arise करती हैं, ये दोनों. So nextly जो frontal bellies हैं, वो longer हैं और wider हैं and partly united in the median plane. So ये आपस में यूनाइट करती है मीडियन प्लेन में, और ये दोनों ईच अराइजेस फ्रॉम द स्किन ऑफ द फोरहेड. जो फोरहेड की स्किन होती है वहाँ से ये ओरिजिनेट करती है दोनों ये मसल, दैट इज़ द फ्रंटालिस मसल. सो द फ्रंटल बैली, दैट इज़ द फ्रंटालिस मसल, these muscle raises the eyebrows and causes the horizontal wrinkles in the skin of the forehead. So this muscle, it is responsible for causing the wrinkles on the forehead. So the epicranial aponeurosis, which is the third layer of the scalp, it is freely movable on the pericranium along with the overlying and the adherent skin and the fascia. So जो थर्ड लेयर होती है स्कैल्प की, विच इज़ एपीक्रेनियल एपोन्यूरोसिस, ये फ्रीली मूवेबल होती है along with the skin as well as the fascia on the pericranium. पेरीक्रेनियम के ऊपर, मतलब क्रेनियम के जस्ट अबव, ये फ्रीली मूवेबल होती हैं क्योंकि ये जो एपीक्रेनियल एपोन्यूरोसिस है ये स्किन के साथ भी एडहेयर कर रही है, इसलिए ये स्किन को भी फ्रीली मूवेबल बना देती है. ये एडहेयर क्यों कर पा रही है? क्योंकि बिकॉज ऑफ द प्रेजेंस ऑफ द सुपरफिशियल फेशिया. So anteriorly, the epicranial aponeurosis, it receives the insertion of the frontalis muscle, and the posteriorly it receives the insertion of the occipitalis muscle. As we have discussed earlier that the occipitofrontalis muscle, these both muscles are inserted into the epicranial aponeurosis. And this epicranial aponeurosis, it is attached to the external occipital protuberance and to the highest nuchal lines in between the occipital bellies. And as well on each side, the aponeurosis is attached to the superior temporal lines. So the first three layers, that is the skin, the superficial fascia, as well as the epicranial aponeurosis, these three layers of scalp are called as the surgical layers of the scalp, and it is also called as the scalp proper also. So the fourth layer of the scalp is the loose areolar tissue or the loose connective tissue and this layer, it extends anteriorly into the eyelids because the frontalis muscle has no bony attachment. So the frontalis muscle has no bony attachment, due to which this layer, it extends anteriorly into the eyelids. And as we see the posterior portion, it is extended posteriorly to the highest as well as the superior nuchal lines, and on each side to the superior temporal lines. So the fifth layer of the scalp is the pericranium. So the pericranium layer, it is loosely attached to the surface of the bones, but it is firmly adherent to their sutures, which means that the pericranium layer, it is not attached firmly to the bones, lekin it is firmly adherent, that is attached to their sutures. Why these are adherent to their sutures firmly? Because the sutures contains the sutural ligaments which binds the pericranium to the endocranium. So we have discussed the extent of the scalp. So thank you so much. Do like, share and subscribe to my channel, and if you have any doubt, do comment me in the comment section box.